I literally have the microphone like right to my mouth, like as close as possible.
Mine is balanced on a towel and a bag of chips.
What kind of chips?
Pocky jalapeno lime.
Pocky jalapeno lime.
Did like rice
that?
Yeah. I would show you, but then my microphone would fall down.
Would collapse. Would tumble.
My setup. Yeah. So I'm afraid to go to work tonight because we're filming a fashion show. Yeah. I'm located in a different city. Actually, in the same home as Michael.
Yeah.
But isn't that a surprise?
No, you're on. You're on right now.
You got no reveal.
Oh, okay.
You've been revealed. If there are listeners right now who are watching the video podcast, they definitely know you're here. Audio podcasters have heard your voice, but not your name. No. Yeah, let's just get this out of the way. Okay, welcome to the Full Volume Podcast. I am your host, Jolie. That is Harvey Brent.
What's up?
Okay, cool. Now, on to the real show. I'm afraid to go to work tonight because it's a fashion show. Someone's going to say the winner's name. And I'm going to hear it because I'm camera opping, so I always catch side conversations.
Oh, especially at a fashion show, no less.
Yeah.
The gaze walketh among you at fashion shows.
Yeah. And let's just say they'll be there in droves.
Is this at St. Clair College?
Yes.
It is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep.
Nice. And Mike, how you doing?
Not bad, just tired. We worked a long day. What was it, 11 hours or something yesterday? Or I don't know what it was. And then we went out for Mexican food, which was really good at Mi Casita. We tried to go to Acapulco Delight, but it was closed.
Where's Mi Casita? I should know this.
On Wyandotte Street.
It's like Wyandotte.
Oh.
On the other side, other side of McDonald's, kind of like a few blocks down. Yeah.
That's that I thought that wasn't Mexican. I thought that was El Salvadorian food.
They are El Salvadorian and they serve Tex-Mex.
Okay.
The funny thing
is,
I'm with you. I've been there though. I've been there with Harry.
But they have pupusas, so.
Oh.
Even Acapulco Delight's technically not Mexican, right? Isn't it Costa Rican or something?
Yes.
Shows my lack of knowledge. Shit.
I know that the owners are South American. They're like Asian South American, so.
And their food is damn good.
Yeah. Ooh.
Like damn good. But no, yeah. Acapulco, amazing. Mi Casita, amazing. Yeah. Food in Windsor, Ontario in general is very good.
Yes. Did you guys go back for Easter?
We went to Michigan.
Oh.
We didn't go. I mean, we have to give preference to Jason's side. He was immigrating for a year and then COVID hit and, borders and stuff. So we have made no trips to Windsor. We've driven through it, but we have not stopped in Windsor for a while, just trying to make up for lost time in Michigan.
Yeah. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But oh man, what a doozy. What a doozy episode.
Speaking of lost time, here's your
lost
segue.
Time. What a doozy episode 4 of Disney Plus's Moon Knight was. Entitled The Tomb, directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. So this one I'm gonna recap it quickly, but I just want to put out the precursor that the recap isn't actually that long, because even though a lot happened in this episode, the actual recap itself is not very long. Like, there's not very many beats to the story, but there'll be probably a ripe amount of conversation within, I feel like. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So the stories the episode starts off with Steven and Layla. They find a deserted campsite near Amit's tomb, which is, kind of a hint that, first of all, Hera's around. Danger. But they find a maze in the shape of the Eye of Horus inside Amit's tomb, thanks to Steven's, criminally underrated degree in Egyptology. But while they're exploring this maze, they find that some of Hera's men have been killed by Egyptian priests. Great creepy makeup effects there, and sound effects, and surprising level of brutality, actually. But
yeah.
They get attacked by these Egyptian priests, and this sends Layla off into a chase sequence. We love a good final girl chase sequence, and she's able to defeat the priests, and that's when she encounters Harrow, who spills the tea, so to speak. He spills the tea, sis, that Mark Spector was one of the mercenaries who murdered her father. Yeah.
Scandal.
The drama this man creates. Unbelievable. So Grant and Spectre, they find the tomb while Layla was off getting chased, but Stephen and Mark find the tomb, and they discover that Amit's last avatar was Alexander the Great, which we'll get into.
Amazing. Best avatar.
Ham-fisted, but yes. They retrieve Amit's Ushabti from inside Alexander's body down in the throat, and Layla angrily confronts Mark, who reveals that his partner killed Layla's father. And so Mark knew about it, and Mark himself, before Khonshu, revived Mark as his avatar. So Mark actually did technically die before because of his mercenary partner, and that's when Khonshu came in to save the day and revive Mark. So that's when Stephen Harrow arrives, and he shoots Mark in the scuffle around Alexander the Great's sarcophagus there, and then Mark falls into a big puddle of water, and he wakes up at a psychiatric hospital. And this is the level of meta that I wasn't expecting for the episode. He wakes up in a psychiatric hospital populated by all the people that have basically appeared in the show so far. So there's Layla, there's Donna, there's some of Mark Harrow's henchmen working as psychiatric hospital guards.
Yeah.
So it's very, very meta. And during a meeting with Harrow, where Mark is on his meds, not Mark, Grant. No, Mark. It is Mark Spector.
Wait.
No. He rescues Stephen. I'm getting there. It's Mark. So after escaping from Harrow, who appears as a therapist in the hospital. He's the one running the hospital, which is perfect. Mark finds Grant in a separate body trapped in a sarcophagus. They run past another sarcophagus with somebody banging on the door, but they didn't open it. And they end up running into a giant hippopotamus head figure who seems really sweet, named Taweret. I can't pronounce it.
Taweret. Yeah.
Okay. And that's
I looked it up. Everyone's pronouncing it differently. It's can also be spelled Taur. So I think Taweret is like the closest.
All right, somebody dig up an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! And let's settle this once and for all.
Yeah. She's in there somewhere.
But that is the episode. And I figured it would be a quick recap. Like, not a lot happens. It's basically just, it starts off as a Tomb Raider style, action episode, and then it ends on a very meta note, which is, them waking up in the psychiatric hospital. So what are the first impressions of episode 4?
So Taweret's ears are the cutest damn ears in all of Egypt. And that smile. I cannot wait to see more of this hippo god. I don't know what the heck is going on, but that's super interesting. I feel like Michael knows a lot about Egyptian mythology.
Not a lot. No.
Okay.
No. And I've read all, like, not all of, but most of the comics from 2012 on, and I have such a bad memory. I don't remember exactly what happened, but can I just give you my impression of because I haven't reviewed the first 4 episodes with you guys, but can I give an impression of the show in general?
Yes, but I have a feeling you're going to agree with us, but you go for it.
Well, here's the thing: is this version of Moon Knight, with Mr. Knight and with the god, what's the main god's name with like the beak? Khonshu. That visual was sort of from 2012 on, right? Warren Ellis wrote it, and was it Declan? I can't remember the artist's name.
Declan Shalvey.
There you go, Declan Shalvey. He kind of visualized all that stuff, and then later on, it would have been I think it was Brian Wood, Colin Bunn writing, and then Jeff Lemire, and then Greg Smallwood on art. And so all this whole interpretation comes from their run, but I feel like they have all the elements there. The tone is all completely wrong, and it's like if you had dials on everything, like the humor, the adventure, the mystery, the horror, all the dials are at the wrong position, it feels like. And to me, you have everything there that you need, but through the music and the editing and the directing and the pacing, everything feels wrong to me. It feels off.
And the
so
writing.
and the writing. And so, for example, in this episode, like it's almost like an Indiana Jones type thing where they're in this, whatever it's called, sarcophagus or whatever. It just feels like there's never a moment, like when you're watching Indiana Jones, you feel the visceral, like the mystery of exploring, and then you feel the fear when something comes out of the dark, and then when a bad guy shows up. But in this movie, it feels like everything's there, but it's almost like you're watching it from a distance and you're not really in it. You're not really feeling it, and it's really frustrating because then when Khonshu shows up, you see the visual. The visual is great, but then he talks, and it's like, well, it's kind of like Bane but funny, and like the vocals not spooky. It's almost comedic, right? What he says is not. It's almost like comical, right? Like what Khonshu says is never really like a riddle or mystery or scary. It's kind of just information, and I don't know. It just feels like it doesn't really click. And so, for example, I'm watching Picard right now. Picard has some of the worst writing I've ever seen in television. Okay, Moon Knight is not like that at all. It's not
He
like
hasn't seen Heroes season 2 then.
oh, okay. I've only seen a couple episodes of Heroes, but with Picard, it's like you can watch it and go, "That is stupid. That is stupid. That is stupid." With Moon Knight, I feel like it's kind of like I'm hypnotized by it, and I'm not hating it when I'm watching it, but it's like you said, Brent. You get to the end of the episode and you're like, "What? Did anything happen? Like what? Like there's no story beats to talk about because it feels like nothing happened." And even when there's a big reveal, like finding out that Stephen Grant might have killed the girl's father, it doesn't come in a way that really hits you. It's kind of just, it's almost like the information falls out, but it doesn't hit you when it comes out, you know? So this episode just feels like all the other ones. It just feels off to me, you know?
I mean, you did message me, Brent, and say, did this one save the rest of the episodes? I will agree with you, yes, it did. But then I will also agree with Michael and say, it still feels like the other ones. It's just better than the other ones. It's not good. Well, it's not great, but it's better than the other ones.
I think I was feeling dramatic when I texted that to you. I think it's the best of the
3 a.m.
It was late. It was the best of the 4 episodes, but it's still like not great. It's mildly positive.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
And I think it's mildly positive based off of the fact that they gave us something new, which is like a Tomb Raider style episode, which was thematically a little different, which was nice. I was just sick of the stuff coming from before. And then it gave us that almost meta twist at the end with the last few minutes of the episode. So I think that is why I'm interested in it. But I agree with you, what you said back to me, which is you still have more questions. And I agree that it answered no questions. It just gave us more questions.
yeah. Like, Jeff, who Messiah Complex cosplay, who we had on a couple episodes ago. No, last episode, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
oh
last episode.
It just, we're losing time. I'm losing time between episodes. So one episode ago, he messaged me almost immediately after he watched the show and was like, what? And I expressed the same sentiment. I was like, you know what? I have a lot more questions now. Remember those questions that we were like, they got to wrap that up in 3 episodes. How are they going to do it? Well, here's the thing. They squandered one opportunity to answer any of them and then created a whole new world of questions. One being, cool, you've wrapped up Khonshu. They've wrapped up Khonshu in a Shabti. They are not going to attempt to rescue him at all. And now he's in a room, a tomb, a catacomb, if you will, full of Shabtis.
Mm-hmm.
So, who are they?
But also, like, do we care? Ugh.
Yeah, it's like Osiris is in there just collecting them.
Yeah.
Now, what?
See, here's the thing. Like for me, I'm not even dissecting the plot twists. I'm more like, it's almost like I'm more analyzing how I'm feeling when I'm watching it. And for example, at the end of this episode, when he kind of wakes up in the insane asylum, that's almost like Jeff Lemire's whole run, from what I remember. And this trick has been done in movies before. In fact, wasn't there an episode of Buffy where she woke up in an insane asylum or something? Right.
Yep.
And even though you that was like season 6 or whatever it was, even though that can't be the truth, there's a part of you that goes, maybe she is in an insane asylum. Maybe the whole show is in her head, because they trick you just enough to suspend your disbelief and go, I'm going to believe this episode's premise for the next 45 minutes. I'm going to believe maybe the whole show was in her head. But in this episode, when you get to the end, it just feels so artificial. It just feels like, oh, well, this is obviously artificial. Like, the walls are all white. It looks artificial. Ethan Hawke's acting doesn't change enough to make you think that he's a different character who's like trying to convince Mark Spector that he's insane. He's just acting like Ethan Hawke. So the moment he goes into this thing, you're like, oh, this is all fake. This is just another illusion. And then with the hippopotamus thing at the end, you're like, oh yeah, well, obviously it's an illusion. But I would have liked a moment where you're like, oh my gosh, maybe this really is in his head. Maybe this whole show is in his head. But you never get that feeling, because it's like they don't sell it well enough,
I thought maybe it was all in the head for about 30 seconds. And then I realized, just through like typical camera beats, like it wasn't a skilled enough, like you said, they weren't skilled enough to pull the wool over my eyes, I feel like.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's like they took the whole premise of an entire run and they did it in 2 minutes, a minute.
Right.
And it was, unfortunately, it was the most satisfying part of the episode, and like kind of dissatisfying at the same time. Because they did it, and it started happening. It was like, oh my God, they're gonna do it. And then he falls out of his chair holding a Moon Knight doll, and it's like, and parts of the scenery start becoming the tomb. I was like, oh, okay, they're just like not, like it started to crumble and fall apart around him much faster than I anticipated that it would start doing that. And then he started coming out of his like medicated coma, his vegetable state, whatever they had sedated him with, that caused him to drool in that way. Like, it was just so quick. It's like they're trying to do too much or give us too much, because they realize they only have 2 episodes left to clear it up.
So episode 5 must be just chock full of exposition. It must be just full of explanations. Somehow Khonshu's going to get out. Like, I don't even... You're working with 2 more episodes. Like, are you going to end on like no resolution? Which, I mean, I'm tired. I'm tired of this series.
Yeah, it's like I don't know which series I'm more tired of, this one or Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, at this point, like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was like sort of police was procedurally adjacent. It knew what it was. I knew what it was. There was no this. It's like I should like went in knowing maybe what it could be, and I really, 4th episode in, have no clue what's happening. I don't know what to feel about it. I know how I should have felt about it. The excitement that could possibly happen, and it's like not happening. It's so okay. Mike, you're gonna say something?
Well, you can finish.
Oh, well, I was gonna cut to a scene where it did almost happen, that feeling.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So when they're in Egypt and they're in a tomb and they're witnessing, like, I think it's are they watching somebody prepare a body for mummification, or is this person just like, is this demon or supernatural being like eating somebody in the afterlife? I can't remember what they explained that to be, but like that Tomb Raider part was probably the best.
I don't think they explained it. I come to think, I have no idea where those undead priests come from. Like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. Visually frightening.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're gonna go for horror now? Okay, I'm into this. Let's do this. And it got like scary for a second. Like, the visuals kind of got creepy and scary.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought they were going to give us like a full loaded Tomb Raider experience. Tomb Raider / Indiana Jones. And the Temple of Doom, not the other ones. Wait.
Yeah.
Temple of Doom? Yeah. Because Temple of Doom was the one where he pulls the heart out of his chest.
Right.
Yeah, that one frightened me as a kid. That one. I thought they were going to give us that. And I started feeling those emotions and then one bullet shot them away. Like, okay.
Well, here's the thing. Like, it's like, geez, I had a point. But like, I feel like with this show, if you look at, say, WandaVision, I still think WandaVision did it best, even though some people didn't like it. I can't figure out why.
Yeah.
But they started out with, because, you know, when you have a premise for a show and it's a mystery, you want to start out in the most, like, in the point of the story or the direction of the story that's the most, where the most questions are asked. So with WandaVision, you start with her in the sitcom, right? And then you give clues, like you hear someone calling her name, and then you see these little weird things happening, like the woman choking and blah blah blah, and like Vision. I don't remember all the clues, but right, they would leave these little clues, and then the next episode there'd be a few more clues. With this show, they kind of did it right by starting with Stephen Grant, right, and then having little flashes of Mark Spector. But now it makes me wonder if maybe they should have started with him in the insane asylum, so that you could kind of go back and forth for the whole show and wonder, well, which one is real, right? That would have been better to me. And then maybe it'd be Insane Asylum, then Stephen Grant, then Mark Spector. And like Mark Spector is like the big reveal in like episode 3 or something like that. I'm just trying to think of the way they could have done it a little bit better. And like, it's almost like they needed another draft to take all these ideas and reorganize them into a better draft, you know? So
that would have been cool, actually, Mike. That's a good suggestion. Like, I think if they were clever enough to run these stories parallel, that would have been a really interesting reveal of what scenario is the actual reality that we're living in. That would have been really cool. Man, I don't know. This is not. I like I said, I think episode 5 is going to be a ton of exposition, and then episode 6, they're going to stop the rise of Amit? ? Is that even the point? I don't.
Right?
It's not clear to me, but I'm going to assume that's the goal of the end of this season. And thankfully, it's actually a limited series. Thank God. So.
You mean like they definitely said there's going to be no season 2, or?
They submitted it to a category for a limited series. I forget which award show. So to me, I assume that means they're not going to do anything about it. Which I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with, because like Moon Knight is associated with a ton of other different Marvel superheroes anyways. Like, I'm more interested to see him interact later on in some sort of crossover, you know, with like, you know, I think he kind of deals with a lot of the mercenaries, right? Like Daredevil and others. Like I'm interested in seeing that.
It would be really It's like, how would he fit into a world with Charlie Cox just visually? Charlie Cox is Daredevil, because right, he's Daredevil.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I mean, obviously, you know, they're all going to eventually interact, but I still would rather them. Like, the one thing I appreciate about Marvel is they try to make all the characters be a different genre. That's one of their strengths, right? So this is now a new thing. This is like a combination of Indiana Jones with I don't know what, but you know what I mean. It's a little bit of Batman. They used to accuse Moon Knight of being Marvel's Batman ripoff, but like there's a little bit of Batman. But now with the multiple personalities and the Egyptian gods and all that, it's become this other thing. And I do appreciate what they're trying to do, but it just feels like, again, they're falling back on that trap of, and I've always felt this about Disney Marvel, is they're doing a imitation of the genre. They're not doing the genre good. Like with Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier was a fairly good simulation of a political thriller from the 70s. But like, and I don't want to keep going back to Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight, but when you're watching those, like The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, you're not thinking about other movies that they're imitating. You're just enveloped in the movie you're watching. Whereas in this movie, you're like, oh, there's Tomb Raider. There's a little bit of this. There's a little bit of that. Now they're doing this. But you're not in it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
That's what I feel like. Yeah. It's a simulation. Almost like a skit.
Yeah, and I feel like we were really excited when this first started. And that's That's the general feeling that we got, is that we were in something, but we didn't know what. And now it feels like that magic is gone.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I just want to say that's kind of what happened to WandaVision towards the end. Is once the mystery was all revealed, it became more of a typical Marvel show, right?
Yeah.
And of course, you had those fanboys. The first 3 episodes sucked. Only the last few were good. I'm like, oh my god, you have it so backwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just became formula at the end, you know. And now that's what's happening with Moon Knight. Is the mystery's gone, so there's nothing left.
Well, there wasn't even a very engaging mystery to start with because they didn't set it up well.
Right.
No, it's like they gave us 5 mysteries and it feels like a choose your own adventure where
Mhm.
we're witnessing 3 paths to your adventure all at the same time.
And I don't want to take any of those paths.
No,
Right.
I just want to close the book and pick up my Babysitter's Club novels, or maybe a Fear Street. Hey, if I'm feeling a little sassy, Christopher Pike is kind of a little more scary and less like sexed up for like YA horror novels. Yes. Good morning, everybody. Jolie is here to talk about Christopher Pike.
Don't get her started.
Oh my god. Okay, so 2 episodes left. We don't know where this is going. We definitely know that they're going to be in Egypt. Or not. Actually, no, we don't know.
They're probably going to be in the asylum again.
Yeah. If you've read... Oh, and do you know what? I should say thank you, Michael, for all the comic context.
Yes.
I mean, I wish I could give more. I read all the Moon Knight in the last 10 years, but I don't remember them. I just remember the tone, and I remember really enjoying it. Like, it's one of the very few Marvel comics that I bought consistently for like almost 8, 9 years. So it's really good. I recommend it. If you ever get a chance to, if you're gonna read Moon Knight, I mean, unfortunately, do not go back to the beginning unless you want the Bill Sienkiewicz artwork from the 70s. That's good. But really, you should just start with the 2012 Warren Ellis reboot, even though Warren Ellis is a sexual predator. Besides that, his writing is really good. Not a sexual predator. He's a groomer. He's a sexual groomer. But anyway, we won't talk about that. Yeah.
We are nothing if not controversial queens here at the Full Volume Podcast. Just calling people out on their shit.
Expose them, and then let the listener decide whether or not they want to support the art. Or you can just find it online like I do when I want to read my comics that are backlog. I started reading X-Men from the beginning.
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Where's our podcast? Where's our X-Men podcast?
I don't know. They're going to make me start going back to work soon.
But now, when you say beginning, do you mean Giant Size #1, or you mean X-Men #1 by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby?
I mean 1963, September 1st, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby. A lot of use of the word broad and dame.
Yeah, of course.
Ugh.
Now, to be fair, can we go on a tangent for a minute here? We do tangents on this show?
Yes, that's all we do.
Okay. Because about 3 years ago, I was like, I'm going to read every Stan Lee comic ever written. And I started with like Fantastic Four. I mean, not the 50 stuff, but I started with Fantastic Four #1. And I went month by month. So Fantastic Four was okay, but now I'm reading weird stuff like Ant-Man before he was Ant-Man, because he appeared as Henry Pym first. Then he was Ant-Man. Then he was Giant Man, blah, blah, blah. And like the early Thor run where it was some artist I've never heard of after Jack Kirby left for a while. Those first couple years of Marvel are very uneven, like so rough, so hard to get through. I would say even on Fantastic Four, it's very rough for the first 3 solid years, right? So if you're reading X-Men, as far as I remember, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby only did a year or so. So it's going to get worse, okay? Because eventually Roy Thomas is going to take over. And it is bad for a long time until you get to about maybe number 50, and then Neil Adams comes in. It's a little bit better, but it's tough.
Yeah, I think I might be in the Roy era, actually. I think I finished the early Jack and Stan stuff, and it's just, yeah. But like I'm gaining an appreciation for a lot of the references you see later on in X-Men media, whether it's the TV show or the movies or artwork, whatever. Like there's a lot of like early references that I didn't realize were that early.
Right.
So in that sense, I'm kind of appreciating it. It's giving me a point of reference, but man, all I gotta say is I can't wait till I hit Giant Size because this is
I know it's tough.
not loving it.
The other thing too is with these Silver Age comics, because I do love the art, but with the writing, I find I can read one and enjoy it. There's no way you can marathon. You can't go, oh, I'm going to read 10 issues of 60s X-Men. There is no way. No one has the endurance for that, you know?
No. Not even the untouchable Eunice.
Right. Uh-huh.
Oh, deep cuts.
Yeah. But anyway, that's cool. Props to you.
Yeah, it's I just want to get to Storm and Banshee and Colossus and Wolverine. And then actually before this too, I read the entire Extinction Agenda because I was like, man, I wanted to like read crossover events, and so I was reading like New Mutants and all this stuff, and I just want to get to those big sagas that I only like I know from the cartoon a lot, and I know them in broad strokes from the comics, but I need the artwork. I need it like hitting me in the face, I needed it so.
Now, have you ever read the early Chris Claremont issues by Dave Cockrum and John Byrne? Have you ever read those? Like Dark Phoenix?
The only Claremont I've read is Dark Phoenix.
I think they're also dated in their own way, but you're going to enjoy them because that's where all of the popular stories come from, right? Dark Phoenix, the Muir Island Saga, Days of Future Past, all that stuff.
Oh, I've read Days of Future Past as well too.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I generally like Claremont, and I know he's not responsible for this, but I love the late '80s costumes, specifically the Storm one that nobody ever shouts out to. It's after her punk phase, but before her Jim Lee White phase. It's that black costume with just the bolts.
Yeah, I know that was good. Yeah,
Sleek,
I agree.
Simple, shiny. I love it. So I don't know. I just love that era. I'm a sucker for that era.
Okay, I got one more shout out, and then I'll shut up. If you really love Chris Claremont, there's two websites I have to give a shout out to. One is this really weirdly titled website called The Real Gentleman of Leisure, or The Gentleman of Leisure. If you search that, they review every single X-Men, I believe starting at Giant Size #1. And they go all the way through X-Men, New Mutants, X-Factor, Excalibur, all the way through. It's the best text reviews of X-Men I've ever found. Okay, so The Real Gentleman of Leisure. And then there's a Twitter feed. I think it's called, I'll find it right now. I think it's called the Claremont Run, but I'll find it right now. And it's like, the thing about, you can make fun of Chris Claremont, you can make fun of X-Men, but Chris Claremont takes himself seriously. And this Twitter feed analyzes, it's almost like he's not analyzing X-Men for what it is. He's analyzing X-Men for what Chris Claremont thinks it is, because these analyses are so lofty. It's called the Claremont Run, at Claremont Run on Twitter. And if you don't appreciate Claremont X-Men, this will make you appreciate Claremont X-Men. It's very, very scholarly. So pardon I keep stumbling over my words because I just woke up 36 minutes ago. But anyway.
It's okay.
Yeah, check those out.
It's a perfect way to cap off an episode review of Moon Knight, is that we would rather be reviewing anything else at this point.
Yeah.
But also shout out to Oscar Isaac. He's doing a great job.
Oh, yeah.
And so is, one more. Yeah, the actress, what's her name? I have it right here.
She plays his wife, Mark's wife, Layla.
May L. Kalamawi. Can't really pronounce that properly. Sorry.
But yeah, she's great too. I like. Let's just give a shout out to acting. Not you, Ethan Hawke, but the others.
I didn't hate him in the first 2 episodes, but now I'm like, okay, you're hawking everywhere. But yeah. So we should probably cap this off with a rating out of 5 Taweret. How do you say it again? The hippo?
Taweret.
I'm sorry, I forgot the T at the beginning.
It was like her name. I think her name starts with a T.
Sorry. Taweret out of 5. What do you give it?
Ooh, this better than the last episode, which I gave 2 Shop Teas out of 5. So I give this one 3.5 Tawerets. The half being the alligator portion of her body, out of 5.
Okay, 3.5. Mike?
I can only give it maybe a 2. Again, I did not hate this, but I did not love any episode. I don't love any of it. So 2.
Okay. I was gonna do a 3 as well, Jolie. So yeah, we're right in between there. We're mostly, if Bex was on the show, maybe we'd see some more range in our scores.
Yeah. Trash Queen shout out.
Oh man, I love how she always has a dissenting opinion. I love that.
Yeah.
It made our upcoming Spider-Man episode very juicy for you listeners.
Yeah. If you have a dissenting opinion, you can definitely send it to where we will filter it out at fullvolumepodcast@gmail.com. Fullvolumepod@gmail.com. You can also find this in all of the Comic Book Syndicate Network's podcasts, like the one that Mike L. has joined us from. He actually joins us from 2 other podcasts, actually. The Here Comes the Spider Cast and Flea Market Fantasy, where they review in reading order.
Flea Market Fantasy?
No, Spider-Cast.
Oh, Here Comes the Spider-Cast is reading order of the 80s. Yes, every single Spidey comic in chronological order for the most part.
And right now we're into the 86?
88.
88, okay.
88.
80. Oh, I'm on that podcast. I don't even know where we are.
Yeah.
And then Flea Market Fantasy is just, one review of one back issue.
Yeah. Random 70s or 80s. Yeah.
From the 70s or 80s. And that also has co-host Mike Dell from the LCS Radio podcast from Pennsylvania. I realize I never talk about a Flea Market Fantasy. We have 2 F podcasts. So you can find all of those things on our website, www.comicbooksyndicate.com. I'd like to thank Mike L. for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you. I mean, again, I know that I'm not at my best because I just woke up, but this is a good discussion. I'm glad I got a chance to talk about the show.
I think this podcast works best when it's just like unfiltered, just like shooting the shit.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we handle it.
Yeah. It makes the 9 a.m. wake up call much easier to handle. More relaxed. And as always, my beautiful, radiant, effervescent co-host Harvey Brent.
/ part-time figure painting artiste.
Yes. Yeah.
You gotta show Mike that picture I sent you after.
I will. I was like, once I find my phone wherever I threw it, I will show him.
Yeah.
Again, join us next week for episode 5. Hey, I'm here for hope, so maybe it'll get better. I know that Oscar Isaac will always do good, so
yeah.
We
love you, Oski.
Yes, I love him. Yeah, he's great.
Until next time, keep it loud.
Keep it at full volume. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So
throw it in the chat.
Okay. I'll just tell you, it is hard to navigate. And what I mean is, like, for example, if you want to go back to the beginning of, say, oh, hey. Is this still recording?
No, I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, you can lean in if you want. There you go. Woo!
Hello.
And then here, I'll go in your camera.